Good morning, good morning. Welcome to For the Health of It This Morning. I am Dr. Scott Phillips, local chiropractor, owner of Lifestyle Chiropractic and Wellness Center in the Clock Tower building, and we're excited to have a fun show this morning. It is a beautiful Thursday morning here in the Valley. We're getting close to fall. I don't know if it's actually fall yet, but it's sure starting to feel like it. So anyway, welcome to the show. Hopefully everyone has a good morning. This morning we have some fun people to talk to, some different events that are going on, and then the bulk of the program this morning is going to be talking with a good friend of mine and a neighbor in the Clock Tower building, Mr. Elmer Cisneros, who is owner and operator of the 5-Minute Clinic. So he'll be joining us here in a little while. Yeah, it's not Mike, sorry. Right now we've got a couple of Mikes and a Sonia, and we're going to talk about some events going on right here locally. And actually, we might as well go ahead and get started with Mike Smith. Mike Smith is back from Mountain View Fellowship Church. You guys have another fun little event going on. Let's talk about it.
Well, it's called the Water for Honduras Carnival. And what it is there's a group of us going to Nueva Florida, which I did not say that right, Nueva Florida, Honduras. And it's a community right now that's being wiped out by floods. Just every flood season, it wipes out more homes because they built these homes in a bad spot.
Right.
So one by one, these houses are moving into this flat, dry area.
Yeah.
But there's no water. Right now, they have to walk 1 to 2 miles, depending on where they live in the community, to a government well.
To get water.
To get water. So we're going down there, and we're actually digging the water lines and building a cistern so that they have actually fresh water in their community. Because without the fresh water, they can't have a clinic in their community.
Sure.
I mean, it really just affects everything all around.
Can you imagine walking 1 to 2 miles every day to get water?
Well, and just to get drinking water.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And we were
Holy
hoping to dig a
cow.
well, but the water table there won't allow it. So we're instead digging some water lines.
Right.
So we're doing the carnival because it costs about $5,000 just construction, which isn't that much money, but we don't have it.
Sure.
So
It's not laying. Can't find that in the seat cushions or anything.
Exactly. Huh? So we decided to throw a fun event for a good event for a good cause.
Sure.
And it's called the Water for Honduras Carnival. It's this Saturday, so in 2 days, and it's from noon to 4. And, I mean, we went all out. We've got a mechanical bull, live bands, a chili cook-off, dunk tank. So if you know of anybody, we still have some openings of somebody who can get dunked. So
Dunk somebody.
if you just know generally people don't like you and they would throw balls to get you wet, we want you.
Man, there's probably a good list there. Mike Walker looks like he's volunteering here. We'll get the students at UVU Wasatch to come over and dunk Mike. That'd be.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun. I mean, for the whole family. We've got 4 bounce houses, a jousting, a silent auction, and part of the silent auction we have a free, like a scenic flight with OK3 Air. We have a hot air balloon ride for 2, a rafting trip, family photo package, which is valued at almost $300.
Yeah.
We just got some awesome silent auctions. So if nobody shows up and places bids, you can get one of those items for.
But we want everyone to show up.
Oh, absolutely. But that's the whole catch. If nobody bids on the hot air balloon, that's a $400 value for 2 people. Yeah. You might get it for $50. Who knows?
Yeah. Sheesh.
So we have clowns, face painting, carnival games. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as well as we'll have food. Jimmy Crack Corn from here in the town's going to be there. We have kettle corn, cotton candy, snow cone machine.
You're going for it.
Yeah, we wanted to. It's only 4 hours, so we're doing everything.
This is a for real carnival.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That is awesome. So this Saturday, noon to 4, Mountain View Fellowship Church you're at the actual church building, right?
Yeah, we have about 8 acres behind our building, and so there's just plenty of room for what we're doing, and it's at 271 North, 600 West.
And that's kind of just behind that. That's where Heber Handspringers are, that kind of thing, right?
Yep,
you just
right
kind
on
of
that
keep
same
going
road.
600 West.
Yeah, if you know where the DMV or Heber Handspringers are, just keep going north on that road until you see the big sign.
That is so awesome. Now, how are you raising funds at this? Are all the things like tickets, or is
It's full tickets, so everything is just a matter of tickets.
Right.
For kids, there's a flat $5 fee for kids 5 or 6 and up, and then for 5 and under, it's a $2, and it's for a wristband, and the wristband gets them to all the carnival games and all the bounce houses.
Sheesh.
So you could come for an hour and for $5 or $2 per kid, and just let them play on the bounce houses and just have fun.
Man, that sounds great. Listen, and again, this is a health show, and we talk about healthy things and healthy events, and what's more healthy than getting water to a community?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty much one of our basic needs. I think about myself being too lazy to go out of my bathroom to get drinks, so I just drink out of the faucet, I don't want to go into the kitchen and get...
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't admit. I mean, I've heard of someone that would do something like that.
Well, this is our first trip down there, and we hope this is a recurring community that we're going to keep helping. But the water was the first thing we had to tackle. I mean, it just didn't make sense to try and do anything else before we got them water.
Well, I hope everyone out there is going to come out and support you guys. It is, I think, a great cause. Should be a lot of fun. I mean, even if it wasn't for a good cause.
Yeah.
If people out there are against good causes, at least come out and have fun.
Yeah, at least have fun.
And don't even think about where the money's going.
That's a good point. If you have no interest in good causes, but you want to have fun, this is
people.
A good
but this, you could at least have fun.
Yes.
I think there's a large demographic out there that you might be reaching with.
Yeah. Listen, say sheesh. I would rather my money go to nothing, but I at least want to have a good time. Well, thank you, Mike, for coming by. Always a good time to have you. You guys do a lot of fun things and good healthy things, so we appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, thanks for letting me come and promote the event.
Yep, no problem at all. We have another Mike. This is Mike Walker here, and
I actually think there's about 6 mics in the room.
Microphones. That was good. Now I don't need to do a joke of the week because you already did it, so good work. And then Sonia Duke. Sonia, shoot, sorry.
Okay.
Sonia Duke is here with us also from UVU Wasatch, and they have another healthy type event. Now, this is the funny thing, Mike, is when I saw this flyer, I thought, they should be on the show to promote it. And then I saw that it was in October, and I thought, but that's so far away.
It's so soon.
It's like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Holy cow, where'd this year go? Anyway, so we're running a 5K. Now, you guys have done 5Ks in the past, but I don't think it's ever been a Wednesday evening event.
So this is our first time trying something different with this event. It's usually every fall, usually either the end of September, beginning of October. And so we decided we'd try to not compete with any other events that are happening both in the Valley and around Salt Lake and Provo area.
Right.
And so we're doing a Wednesday evening 5K run, Wednesday, October 8th. And the event actually starts at 5:30 p.m. So registration, pickup, and all that will be starting at 4:30 to 5:20, and then the event starts at 5:30 p.m. What our thinking was that we would have this event, we would have actually people be interested in doing something like this on a Wednesday night.
Sure.
So we thought, why not? Let's try it and see if people are interested.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to try it out a different time. I was kind of excited about a little evening run here in the fall. Sure.
So, and it's only $5. So for $5, unless you come day of the event, then it's $10. But if you prepay, you can do it on active.com, or you can come into the Wasatch Campus Library and Administration office and buy just for $5.
Sure.
Your admission, and that includes a free T-shirt, which is valued at more than $5.
More than $5.
So we really want, all the funds go to student scholarships, and this is basically us sponsoring this event so that we can have a fun race for the community. And it's a trail run. So it does include some of the trails as part of the 3.1 mile
I'm
course.
just there behind the campus, right?
Right off of the parking lot, there's a trailhead for biking and running and hiking, and it's part of the race will be in that off of that trailhead, right at the campus.
So 5K, 3.2 miles. You said 3.1.
No, 5K is 3.1.
Oh, fantastic.
Something.
Well, hey, sheesh.
So
I usually try to run 3.2.
It depends on which way you round, because I guess you're right if you round up.
Yeah, but no, I don't like to round up. So 3.1 sounds good to me. And
Wednesday night, that's a good time for scout groups.
Yeah, scout groups or your church groups. mutual groups.
Yeah,
anyone
get
that wants
everybody
to come.
involved. $5 a head. I mean, I don't know of any race, any 5K that you can get in for $5 a time.
I mean, the whole goal here was to, we're not making a ton of money off of it. We're
Right.
donating money to the 5K, and then all the proceeds that we get go to student scholarships. It's a great way for us to raise money for scholarships.
And I've got to say, I've run this race before,
Yeah.
and they have amazing prizes. I mean, would you say more than half the people who run the race leave with a prize? What about the percentage?
The prize is about 50%. I
Wow.
mean, and one of our title sponsors is Heber Valley Railroad, and
Yeah.
the first 80 people that sign up get a free ticket to ride the Heber Valley Railroad. You cannot buy a ticket on the railroad for $5.
For $5. So if you say, hey, you know what? Come and get a registration, get you a T-shirt, get you a free ticket to the train for $5 if you didn't even put the race in there.
And the
People
best part
think
is
it's
your
a good deal.
$5 is going to benefit several students.
Yeah.
Attending the UVU Wasatch campus,
And it
for
goes
their
to
tuition.
scholarships
100%
there
goes
at the
to
Wasatch campus.
tuition for students at the UVU Wasatch campus.
And we've had people run it. Some people walk it. Whatever your level
Sure,
is, just
sure.
come. It's fun.
It's an anybody level kind of a 5K event. It's a really casual, really fun 5K.
Well, it's only 3.1 miles.
It's
so-
only 3.1 miles. I mean, we have 8 water stations. I'm just kidding.
12 waters. Every single step you can get some
Yeah.
water. No, not really. But that is honestly, I mean, I've run a lot of races. This should be a really beautiful one out on the trail. I'm sure there's some, trees out there that are changing colors, stuff like that. I think it'll be really nice.
It's a really pretty course. You're right, you pass the canal, which is very beautiful. The trail run itself, there are very few trail runs that you can do, and most trail 5K races are very expensive because of the management.
for sure.
We operate this at a loss in that we donate all of this, all of our time, all the money to set it up. It's all donated so that we can raise these funds for student scholarships and have a really great event for the community.
Well, let's give them the date again. It's October 8th.
Wednesday, October 8th. The race starts at 5:30 p.m. You can pick up your registration from 4:30 to 5:20.
And will that be just outside there, right by the trailhead,
just
or is
meet-
that going to be inside?
Yeah,
for
if
the-
you just meet right outside the Wasatch campus, we'll have it set up right there.
Perfect.
So the registration is right outside the front doors.
Mike, and if they just called the Wasatch campus, could they register by
Yes,
phone?
you can register by phone. Our main number direct to the front desk is 801-863-6600 or 6601, which is the more advertised number.
Sure.
Also a 435-654. I'm unprepared.
Something.
6548. Oh goodness. I always remember the 801 number.
People are writing this
Yeah,
down.
you can
going,
go to our
654
website.
What? What?
You can go to our website at uvu.edu/Wasatch for more information, or our Facebook page at facebook.com/Wasatch Campus.
Sure.
And you should like our page as well.
And then like it,
And
then you can get it for just $5 to register.
$5.
Or you can wait and pay double.
Wait and
But
pay
who
double.
wants to pay double?
Or wait and pay $15 for the late online registration.
Yeah, there you go. 30. It's going to go up to
30.
$100.
$100.
If you try it.
This is a hot item ticket.
Honestly, even if you're a procrastinator and you just come and show up that day, it's $10, right?
Yeah,
That's
$10.
still a really good.
Screaming deal.
Great
Nice.
deal.
But we don't want you to wait because we really need people
Yeah.
to sign up.
Please sign up. Let's not sound desperate here, but come on.
We're not desperate, but we would like you to sign
But
up.
we want you to sign up. $5. Let me give me a break. And the first 80 with the free train ticket. I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, it is great.
Now, are you going to run it, Mike?
I am a runner, and I love to run. That's why I decided to start doing this about 6 years ago. The Wasatch campus previously had a 5K, but it hadn't the engine hadn't been going very well.
Right.
So as a runner, I kind of knew how to do these kinds of things, how to run these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so I took over as the race director for this program, and since then, it's really become a thriving program. We get lots of sponsors, and it's been a lot of fun.
Good.
And so I will not be running in it just because I have to,
He keeps
operate it.
everybody entertained as they're running.
Yeah, I
He's the
give
announcer.
the announcer. I give people pep talks. I'm really
That's
helpful. That way.
good. Well, you're running a race yourself this weekend.
That's right. So
and it's not a 5K.
It is not a 5K. So I'm running my first ever and probably last ever marathon, the top of Utah Marathon, which is just outside of Logan. 26.2 miles.
26.2. Don't forget the point 2.
Point 2.
I'll tell you, when you hit 26, you're like, isn't this sufficient? Why do we have?
So, how many marathons have you done, Scott?
I've done 5. I don't know if I'll do ever anymore, but I really think that last point 2 is just to toy with us.
Yeah.
I think it's just a.
Well, technically, if you want a history lesson, that's that run.
Yes.
In marathon, from ancient Greece to go warn about a war. What was his name?
I forget his name.
I teach history,
but he died at the end. That's the sad part of the story.
So that's not good foreshadowing for me for Saturday.
So that's the strange thing is. So now we do
but
this
he didn't
run.
have
but
Nike running shoes and Reebok running shoes. And
I
so
don't
forth.
think he trained either. I think that was
I think
really
it was just
issue.
like, oh my gosh, I have to run 26.2 miles to warn them about a war.
To warn them about, and I don't even know who ended up winning the war. Did they end up even?
I
were they
believe
prepared?
that if my history's right, of course I need Wikipedia, but no, if my history's right, this was during the Persian attack of Athens? Maybe I'm wrong.
You know what? I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
I'm going to make something up and say they lost.
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
But hey, good old what's his name who ran the 26.2
outside of a place we think was called Marathon.
I'm just glad it wasn't 26.3. In fact, there's a sign that one of the runs I ran that someone had a sign that was like 26.2 is awesome, 26.3 is just crazy. Like don't go any farther than that because then you're a real nutcase.
Yeah, the reason I'm not doing another one though is the training regimen is horrible.
It's not very fun.
No, I love to run, and I promote anybody who likes to run marathons. Good for you, and I'm proud of you, and I think that's wonderful and amazing and cool. But for me, my preferred races are 5K and 10K. I don't really like to train for anything
then
more
you're
than
done.
6 miles. Yeah, it's
and
fun. I
party.
like to go faster. I like to enjoy my run.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do enjoy marathons, don't get me wrong, and I really don't know what it's like.
I don't know if anyone honestly enjoys
You might
them.
run it and then be hooked.
Sonia,
I know, here's what's going to
Sonia,
happen.
how many marathons have you done?
None.
None. How many are you planning to do, though? You have that on your bucket list, too?
One I would like to one day.
Yeah. You
should.
I've run a half marathon.
Oh, so see, you're already halfway
You're halfway
there.
there. Next time, run your half, turn around, and go back to the start.
Oh, wow.
And you'll be good to go.
How did you feel after your half marathon?
I felt pretty good.
Like I could run another 13.1 miles.
No.
Scott, you're a health expert. Tell me, is it good for your body to run 26.2 miles?
This is a terrible, terrible question. It really, really is not. In fact, so if you want, if you want the actual science, the orthopedics that have gotten together and they've said, hey, what's the best for us? Really, any distance over about 7 miles, they say you start to kind of outweigh the benefit to the harm to your body ratio. And so the training, that's why training for a half is really nice because usually that's about where you're at, 6, 7, maybe a longer day you're at a 10 or something like that. But there was an article that we talked about even on this show where they did some comparing of people that ran, consistently every day 3, 4, 5 miles, and then people that ran like for 10 minutes 3 times a week, and they got virtually the same health benefits as far as if they were reducing the risk of heart disease and all that kind of stuff. And so as an avid daily runner, I was like, well, that kind of stinks. But there are other fun things. I think the stress release of getting out there and just being, for me, it's not on the treadmill. It's outside, seeing the fun things, seeing the beautiful scenery, all that kind of stuff. And what a great place here to run. But if you want me to be honest, if you plan on running marathons every month for the rest of your life, it's probably going to more than do some damage.
Yeah. I'm doing the marathon solely and exclusively for the bucket list.
Yeah.
I don't
think
have
it's
a
great.
long bucket list. I'm not one of these people that needs to swim with the coral reef fish in Queensland, Australia. That's not. I don't care. I mean, that'd be cool.
I'm going to put that one down right now. That sounds awesome.
But I have just a few things on my bucket list, and one of the most important ones is to run a marathon. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing this is it.
Now's a good
it's
time.
Now or never. And I got the marathon admission entry for free.
Yeah, you won it.
I won it. Utah State Athletics had an online Facebook contest, and I'm notorious for winning things, winning contests. I should
Infamous,
say.
maybe for those
Infamous.
out there who are trying.
I win
to,
all the time. I won 6
to
things
win
this
too.
year. A lot of them on random raffles.
That is fantastic.
So I won this randomly, and So I figured, well,
It's time.
It's time
All
to
the
check off
signs.
the bucket list.
The stars said, "Here's
And I
what
had
you
been
need to do."
training, thinking that I would do it a year from now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
nevertheless, I had been training.
Who needs to do it in a year when you can do it this weekend?
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, we look forward to talking to you about it after you run.
You bet.
And especially this 5K, because really you ought to run it and be like, wait, that was easy. That was only 3.1 miles.
And maybe I will. Maybe I'll just say,
Maybe you should run it early, like when everyone's checking in, and then you can be like, hey, I've already ran the course.
It's easy.
It's pretty good.
You're gonna be
It's
okay.
a lot better than the top of Utah Marathon. Faster anyway.
faster, a lot
Yeah,
faster.
Yeah. Okay, well, anything else we can talk about that?
Well, I just want to reiterate real quick. It's Wednesday night, October 8th.
Yeah.
We may, be promoting it elsewhere. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wasatch Campus. Wednesday, October 8th. It's $5. Race start is 5:30. Pickup for your registration starts between 4:30 and right before the race.
And really, it's just a good time to get out there. And if you want to walk it, you can walk it.
Walk it, run it, crawl it, crab walk it.
I saw somebody asked about strollers, and strollers are probably not a good thing for the trail.
Yeah,
That'd
it's
be hard
not.
to push a stroller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really a stroller friendly race, but if you want to come in a stroller and do a shorter course, there are parts of the course that are stroller friendly that
Sure.
I'd be happy to show you on the day of. But free T-shirt, good time with your friends, family, people
Or
in the
just
community.
bring the kids and Michael watch them
Yeah.
while you run.
And like a lot of the times after the race, we'll do like a short like kids run.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
free
sure.
free babysitting as long as you don't mind it's like communal and that
As
no
long
one's
as-
actually
as long as
watching
you don't
your
mind that no
kids.
one will really actually
And,
watch
you know,
your child.
They're not safe. But- no, I'm kidding.
Don't sign. We're not signing any waivers.
No.
Well, good. Well, hopefully people that are listening, I know there are a lot of people say, man, I just want to get out. I want to start getting running. I want to do a 5K. I talked to someone this last week, actually. It's like I've got a goal of running a 5K. And I think what better time to just start doing them and for $5, and if you don't feel like, oh, but I don't think I can run the whole thing, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
come out, get out there and just kind of see what the distance is, start to get a feel for what it is. This could be just a good opportunity to start if you're looking for it.
And it's really a beautiful time of the day in October. It's, just before sunset.
Sure.
You'll be able to see the views up on the hill are of the entire Wasatch back.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas we in Heber like to call it the Wasatch front.
Front, yeah.
All of those views of Timp and the rest of the mountains, as well as the water. You can see everything from that location
Yeah,
at the top
yeah.
of where you're running, and the downhill part is really awesome. So
No, I think it's going to be great. I hope everyone out there listening is going to say, hey, let's support this cause. Let's go get registered. Let's call in. Let's walk over, register on Active, go to Facebook, all that kind of stuff, and let's promote this thing and have a lot of fun. Unless there's anything else coming out of Wasatch Campus, we're going to talk about this other event that's coming up. But thank you two, for coming on. I know
Thanks
you're
for
over
having
at
us.
the Economic Summit.
yeah,
And there's
heading
a lot
back
of fun
over
stuff going on.
to the
so-
Economic Summit over at the Wasatch Campus right now.
So go learn some things and then tell me about it so that I can not miss out.
You will not, you bet.
Take some notes.
I
All right,
will.
guys, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So next thing, this is another kind of fundraiser coming out that they're doing with Girls Getting Fit. My friend Melissa Milam is going to do. It's called a Sweat It Out Saturday, and Melissa's really passionate about fitness and health. And this is actually raising money for the Heber Valley Food Revolution and trying to get some money for some school gardens. So it's a really, really great cause. I'm excited about it. It's on Saturday, October 4th. It's going to be from 9 o'clock to 11:30. $30 for one person, $50 for two people. And what we're doing basically is 2 hours of sample classes from a lot of the Heber Valley's fitness professionals. So we'll have someone coming and doing Pilates. There'll be some boot camp. There'll be vertical fitness. I'm sure Summer Wright's going to be in charge of that, and we're going to have Summer on the show in not too long. Definitely some yoga, some weightlifting, cross training, high intensity interval training from the girls over at the Underground Barbell Club. So just a lot of good opportunity to come out and just sweat it out. So that's what it is. We're going to sweat it out and earn some money here for the Wasatch County Food Revolution, Heber Valley Food Revolution. Next thing I wanted to do is talk about this article I ran across. I mean, I'm really interested in this one. I know that antibiotics have been in the news for a long time, and this is an article ran by ABC News, and the doctor is Dr. Natasha Buyan. And basically, she's just kind of talking about the over prescription of antibiotics. And Dr. Natasha is a researcher as well as a medical doctor. And basically, what she's saying is that even though we've been warned from public health experts and we shouldn't be over prescribing these antibiotics, because not only are they're leading to these superbugs, basically. These resistant strains to most of our antibiotics, we're still prescribing antibiotics to children, especially, about twice as often as they're needed. This is research coming out of Seattle Children's Hospital, and they examined these past studies between 2001 and 2011 just to see how doctors treated these common childhood respiratory infections, conditions like sore throats, ear infections, and sinusitis. And they found that only 27.4% of the infections were caused by bacteria and could therefore be treated with an antibiotic. And 57% of them were actually treated with antibiotics. And so basically 11.4 million unnecessary prescriptions for antibiotics per year, which is just kind of a ridiculous, crazy number that anyway, so that's what they found out. And so basically what they're saying, okay, well, why are we overprescribing this? This is Dr. Matthew Kronman, who is a pediatric infectious disease specialist over there, and they found no appreciable change in prescribing rates over the last 10 years, even though they were trying to tell people not to overprescribe. So Dr. Kronman said, whatever we're doing now, it isn't working. We need to come up with new strategies to understand why this gap exists. And he was saying that referring to the gap between antibiotics needed and those that are prescribed. So the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is obviously the top pediatricians group in the United States, has issued guidelines on the use of antibiotics in kids, notably 2001 for sinusitis, 2004 for ear infections. I remember that one that came out. But obviously parents are coming in and saying, hey, we want antibiotics, right? We don't want to come in and get nothing. Doctors have a hard time distinguishing between a viral and a bacterial infections. And so basically, even though the top governing body of pediatricians has come out and said, hey, we need to not prescribe so much, they are not really changing how we're prescribing. And so basically, we're looking at now this rise in these bacteria that are resistant to so many of these antibiotics that we're using. In fact, it says an estimated about 2 million Americans are infected with antibiotic-resistant organisms, which results in 23,000 deaths a year. And this was a report in 2013 from the CDC. And so that's a lot of people infected with these resistant strains. And so anyway, obviously some infections, acute bronchitis, pharyngitis, with a negative strep test, we know that antibiotics don't help. They don't help you get better faster. They're not needed. This was Mark Ebel, who is a family medicine physician and a professor over at University of Georgia. And he says even sinusitis and ear infections may be caused by viruses and often resolve without antibiotics. And so I think there's definitely a need to educate not just the physicians, right? I think the physicians know this. And if Elmer were here right now, I'd ask him about kind of what his take is on it. But what we're looking at is we need to also, I think, educate the parents. And I don't think the right time to try to educate these parents is when they're in the doctor's office with a screaming child, just thinking, hey, I need something, please just give me something. The right time is to start talking about it now, and I think these statistics about not just these resistant strains that people are being infected with, but some of these other negative things that are coming out. I read a study about food allergies. We actually read that article in here about food allergies being caused by some of these organisms being killed off by antibiotics and not being replenished, and so all of a sudden you have this gut that has been kind of rampaged basically by antibiotics, and then not being replenished with the good bacteria, and now all of a sudden there's room for bad bacteria, there's room for other harmful things, and so we can see things like leaky gut and like food allergies and stuff like that. So this is the doctor's take. This was part of the article. Said basically the doctors overprescribe antibiotics for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is difficulty in determining the exact nature of an infection. So you see an infection, you say, hey, is this bacterial, is this viral? What should we do for it? And when you don't really know, obviously you can just, it says, this is Dr. Mobeen Rathor, who is chief of pediatric infectious disease at Wolfson Children's Hospital in Florida. He wasn't involved with the research, but he just says in several situations the diagnosis is not very clear cut, and so they're just not sure. But all the more reason doctors say that parents should be aware of what to do if their child has a runny nose, sore throat. For patients with the common cold, the best defense is to drink plenty of fluids, get rest, and you don't need the antibiotics. It says antibiotics should not be taken for mild to moderate sinus infections unless symptoms last longer than 7 days or worsen after clinical improvement. So basically, this is kind of how we do it at my house. Obviously, I have a lot of kids, and they don't get sick very often, which is nice. But when you can tell that they're bothered by something, I think a lot of us as parents sometimes we're really concerned that it might be, we hear these crazy stories about, oh, it's looked like a flu and then it turned into this or that, and so we get really, really nervous and we run into the doctor, and we don't want the doctor to say it's nothing. We want him to give us something so that we can make sure that we're trying to help our children, when really, in fact, this could be doing almost more damage than good. And so really what we want to look at here is say, okay, let's take a look, see how it does for a few days, watch and wait, make sure the fever's not too high if there is one, and just try to see what it can do on its own. And this is what I've heard for sinus infections, also for ear infections, is that most of them, over 90%, of these infections will clear up on their own within 7 days. And that after, if symptoms are still progressing, or let's say they get better for a little while and then revert back, that might be a good time to go get it looked at. But hopefully, I think with parents, if we can get parents on board with saying, look, I know that antibiotic is an easy thing to prescribe. It's an easy thing to take. It gives us some peace of mind. But what are we trading for? In the long run, what are we trying to get out of using all these antibiotics? And if something can go away without that, and I'll tell you, there are tons and tons of natural remedies for these types of things. And I'll run through some of the ones that I use. Obviously, I'm a big believer in natural ways to help kids with their health. But many of the things I use are very widely known, right? And so if I have a child that has a fever, or he has something that I can just tell he's just not feeling too good, I go on the rest and fluids thing right at the beginning. And actually, the interesting thing, especially with my 5-year-old, is when he does feel ill, he goes and lays down. And it's very interesting to see. He knows that he kind of isn't feeling very well. He'll go into his room, he'll lay down in his bed, he'll come out every now and then if he's thirsty. Sometimes we'll go in and we'll give him a drink, make sure that he's keeping fluids in him. But he'll just kind of lay there, and then when he wakes up and he gets up out of bed, he's pretty much good to go. And it's very, very cool to see the body take care of it that way. So I'm definitely a big fan of the rest and fluids. A lot of people think, oh, we need to feed him, we need to get this and that. I will say that I get very frustrated with the idea of going to the store and getting some Sprite, some 7-Up, right? I think that's something that we just used to do. It's a comfort drink. It's something that kids will drink and they like. But I will tell you that the sugar content, the high fructose corn syrup in there, is a feeder of bacteria. Bacteria love sugar, right? Yeast loves sugar. Some of these disease-causing microorganisms need to be starved and not fed. And I think if your first inclination is to go out and get some sort of sugary drink, it can be very counterproductive. And so kids will drink water. I don't really necessarily think, especially if there's tummy issues involved, don't feed them unless they're hungry, right? There's no point in trying to shove food down somebody's throat. The fluids are really what you want to take a look at. And then I always tell the parents, make sure the fluids aren't going in too quickly, right? We don't want to waterlog anybody, but just give them a little bottle that they can sip on here and there as they feel needed. And if they're throwing up a lot, then we want to make sure there's a lot of fluids going in. But like I say, we kind of watch and wait a few days, take a look at the temperature, make sure it's not raising too high. I think it's a good time also to plug the use of anything else natural that people can use. I'm a big believer in essential oils. I really, really like using some of these oils to help with not only the symptoms, but also just help the kids feel good. I know when our kids get sick, that's one of the things is we don't want them to be miserable, right? Moms especially. You see your child. I think dads are better at being like, "Oh, you're fine." That's something definitely that I prescribe in. And I was playing basketball last night with some people, and there was a father and a couple of sons combo, and one got popped pretty good in the face. There was a head-on-head collision, and you could tell this poor kid was ready to be done, but his dad was just like, "You're good, don't worry about it." And that's definitely the kind of father I am. But when our kids are sick, especially moms, we just feel bad. They're crying, they're hurting. We want to make sure that pain goes away. So a lot of times we look right into the medicine cabinet and say, well, what can we give? Where's the Tylenol? Where's the ibuprofen? And not that that's a terrible idea, but what I want people to realize is that those prescription or those over-the-counter medications have never been tested in children, right? I mean, you can't do medicine testing in kids. It's unethical. It's not anything that you're allowed to do. And so basically, you get the researchers' best guess as far as how much they can take about what the dose could be and that kind of thing. And so we kind of are hoping that that's an okay dose, that it's not going to be harmful, but really, unless there's case studies about, hey, here's how much, you can't do the research. And so what else is there that we can help, that we can give our kids, that we can help them feel a little bit better and help take care of some of those symptoms? And I'll tell you, essential oils for me is a really, really good way to do it. Some of our favorites, you think of somebody that's congested, somebody that has some breathing issues, those type of things. Obviously, a really easy one to use is the Vicks Vapor Rub. People know about Vicks and how it smells, and that smell is an oil called eucalyptus. And so if you just get the oil eucalyptus and put a little bit on your upper lip or on your chest or wherever, that can do the same kind of a thing as a Vicks Vapor Rub. There are other oils like lavender. Lavender is a fantastic oil. If people out there haven't ever used essential oils, lavender is the one that I always recommend to start with because it smells really good. It's very, very calming, and you can use it in 99% of situations presented, even I would say 100%. You get a child that's having a hard time calming down, in pain, those types of things, and that lavender oil helps really, really quite a bit. And where you put it can definitely depend on what you're looking for. But I think definitely the chest is a great place, and you've probably heard this if you're maybe even in an old wives type of a situation, but you can put the oil on their feet and just kind of rub it on the soles of their feet and then put socks on, and people are like, oh, that sounds crazy, that sounds a little hippie-ish, but I'll tell you, it works really, really well. And so lavender oil is a really, really good oil. There's a homeopathic remedy that we use for congestion, right? Where the season's kind of starting to change. We're starting to see a little bit cooler weather, and I've heard a little bit of nasaliness in the voices of my own kids. And I think, okay, this is a time where maybe the sinuses start to drain. So what can we do, right? How can we help help these conditions get under control again, like I say, without jumping and running to the pharmaceuticals and the over-the-counter drugs. And so the one that I really like, the homeopathic remedy that I use, is we use a carrier oil. And a carrier oil, all it is just something that you can, rub on. And we like walnut oil. That was just the one that was told to me. Walnut oil seems to work the best. It doesn't really have a scent, and it's really easy to mix in. You can find walnut oil all over the place, and it's the one that's not going to go rancid, all that kind of stuff. And so we take walnut oil, and for every probably, I think it was 8 ounces of walnut oil, we would add about 3 to 4 drops of lavender. Again, that's kind of for this calming effect. It's to help with the parasympathetic nervous system. We talked about stress last week, and one of the big problems with stress is a decrease in immunity. And so when our sympathetic nervous system, or that fight or flight system, is on, then our immune system is way decreased. That's why a lot of people get sick under stressful situations, because the immune system isn't really working very well. And so if we can do anything to promote the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of the sympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic is going to decrease immunity. Parasympathetic is going to increase immunity. Anything we can do to increase parasympathetic is going to help our immune system. And so lavender, one of its big things that it does is it kicks in that parasympathetic nervous system and helps us kind of relax. And so that's 4 to 5 drops of that for sure. You can't put too much lavender in. Usually it smells really, really good. Then we have a couple of drops of the eucalyptus. Now, eucalyptus is a strong oil, and so usually not too many drops of that, just because it will be, you'll smell it. and so put a little bit out in there also. And then the other one that I like is germanium. Germanium is actually antibacterial. It's antiviral. It's a really good oil. It's not the greatest smelling oil in the world, so another just couple of drops of that one. And then you mix it up, and you got a nice little 8-ounce, vial of this homeopathic kind of antibacterial, antiviral, definitely anti-congestion type thing. And I'll tell you, when my kids are coughing a little bit, or I can tell that they're draining, I put that on the chest and the back, and put it on their feet, put some socks on, and usually within a day, usually that night, they'll wake up not coughing. Sometimes it'll take another night to do it, but I'll tell you, if we're constant with it, we get through this kind of transition time of the weather, where things are getting a little bit more apt to getting sick. We're staying indoors more often. We get through that transition time really, really well, with hardly any sickness. So that's kind of my homeopathic remedy for those types of things. I know some of these companies that have oils out have different blends for that kind of thing that you can also pick up. I enjoy the On Guard from doTERRA for sure. I know that there are other couple of companies that have a similar oil for that kind of thing, and it can just smell good. It can feel good, and the kids can really feel a lot better even just using something like that. And I've seen the same results as somebody that puts a Tylenol or ibuprofen or something like that, as far as the calming goes in the children, as with the essential oils. And if the essential oils for sure don't have any side effects, they're not harmful in any way, right? Because we can't close our eyes and say, oh, ibuprofen and Tylenol don't have any side effects, because they do. Then it would be good for us to say, hey, why don't we use the oils instead of the pharmaceuticals? We're actually getting a call. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up and see if it's anyone that wants to talk to us. Oh, actually, they've hung up, so never mind. Anyway, so On Guard is one. Now, the other thing, too, that a lot of these companies come out with are diffusers. And for the lay public, that has a little bit more similarities to something like a humidifier, right? We've used those before. But the diffuser, the whole idea with the diffuser is to actually get the oil into the air, so that when we breathe, it goes into our lungs and into the bloodstream faster. And I'll tell you that people that use essential oils really, really like their diffusers, because it kind of, and you've been in a store that's had a diffuser with essential oils in it, because you'll remember, because you'll walk in and you'll smell and you'll be like, oh my goodness, this smells so great. Um, and so that's another good way to do it too, if it's not something you want to put on topically, to get yourself some sort of diffuser to use those oils. Humidifiers are good, but there's not really much you can do except the water, and it's good to help kind of break up some of the congestion. But I think when you put the oils involved in it too, then it's a really, really good thing. So so that was kind of a tangent that I took, but we're still missing my friend Elmer Cisneros, and he may have forgotten. I guess that's something I probably should text him this morning and said, hey, you're coming, right? But let's go ahead and now I feel bad, because out on Facebook I put out that Elmer would be here, and I told people to like my post if people if people like the 5-minute clinic, and so I'll just kind of give a shout out to him and what he's doing over there. But really, like I say, it's next door to me in the Clock Tower building, and he's been there for quite a long time. And he's gonna, if he doesn't show up today, I'm gonna have him on for sure again, so he can talk about really what it is that he wanted to do there. It is a cash-based practice, where you go in and basically it's a full-service medical office, and he can do stitches, he can do shots, he can do all kinds of different things. He can prescribe. It really is a full-service medical office that runs basically on cash. Now, if you have insurance, he can print you out a bill that you can send to your insurance company, and then you can use the insurance that way. But if you're uninsured, or if you have high copays, high deductibles, those types of things, I mean, you can get out of there, for so much less. Let's say you broke a bone or something serious. You can go in there and get it taken care of for like 1/10 of the cost as it would cost to go to like the emergency room, things like that. So it's a really great thing to have in the community. If you've never been, you've never tried him out, I've never talked to anybody that didn't like him, that didn't like his service and didn't have a good time. And like I say, I put out that he'd be on the show, and I told people to like the post if they love the 5-minute clinic, and I'll tell you, it was a pretty good, overwhelming response of people that I don't even know, that I'm not even friends with, on some of these sites that love the 5-minute clinic, and they wanted to show their support for it. So like I say, I'm not sure if he's going to make it here in the next 10 minutes, but if he doesn't, we'll definitely have him on another time. We'll get him to chat about what it is that he does, because it is kind of a really neat thing. So let's go ahead with the joke of the day. I found this one. I was really excited about it. There are a couple of elderly guys hanging out on a park bench, as elderly guys seem to do sometimes. And they're sitting on this park bench, and one is just beaming. He's very excited. So his friend, who's looking at him, can tell there's something different about him. Says, "Hey, what do you got going on? What's different about you today?" And he says, "Well, I got this new hearing aid. I'm really, really excited about it. It's state of the art. It's the best out there. It's the Rolls Royce of hearing aids. I've got it, and I bought it." And I said, "Wow, that's awesome." He said, "Yeah, I can't stop raving about it. I'll tell you, it cost me $4,000. This wasn't the cheapest one, but I didn't spare any expense, because I wanted the best. I want to be able to hear the way that I want to," and he just keeps going on and on about it. And this friend is getting really excited, thinking, "Hey, maybe this is something I should do." And so he says, "Wow, that is awesome. What kind is it?" And his friend says, "Let me check. It's 1230." Anyway, sometimes in healthcare, as far as anything else goes, sometimes the most expensive isn't always the best. Anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed that one today. As far as other events go, I'm not really sure of too many others. I'm glad that Top of Utah Marathon is going on this week. It's in Logan, so obviously it's not one that we can go and cheer people on unless you want to drive out there and do. You can. Really, really good marathon, downhill for 14 miles, which I think Mike Walker will appreciate. And the weather's perfect. I mean, it's such a great time to get out. I was running this morning, and it really was just kind of perfect weather. I don't have to put my long sleeves on yet. And then you get to see the mountains, and you get to see the colors change. It starts up at, if you guys are familiar with Logan, it starts up at Hardware Ranch. Really nice spot, and comes down. We'll talk about the farmers market that's coming up out in Park City. That's on Wednesdays. if this show were Tuesday, I'd tell people, to make sure you go tomorrow, but it's kind of a week away, and so hopefully don't forget. But it's a good place to get some good local produce, and then obviously if you want some at Days, it's a good place too. In fact, we just got a watermelon from Walmart for $3.50, and so we're kind of coming to the end of some of these summer fruits and summer vegetables and things like that are really, really in season, but right now is a great time. In fact, I just got some peaches from my mother-in-law down in Utah County. They had a peach tree, and peaches are kind of where it's at right now, and start looking for pears here pretty soon also. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about with the essential oils, with the antibiotic discussion that we were having, but really I can't stress enough of the body's ability to heal itself, and a lot of times at the first sign of anything, that's what we look for, is what on the outside can I take, what can I put in my body to help it. And it's hard for me because I really truly believe that everything that you need is already inside your body. Everything that you need to heal is in there, and it's ready to work for you. And as long as you're keeping up on yourself and making sure that you are as healthy as you can be, then when these things come up, like I say, you may need to take a day off, you may need to rest a little bit, but your body's ready to fight it. It's ready to go. I love the fact that if anybody knows much about immunology and about our immune systems, there is a whole branch of the immune system dedicated to fighting tumors. They're called tumor-fighting cells. And so we get so scared of things like cancer and things like that what are we supposed to do? And the statistics are alarming, right? Males, 1 in 2 males will be diagnosed with some form of cancer at some point in their life. Right now, that's the statistic. 1 in 2, it's 50%, guys. And females is 1 in 3, but not too long, I think by 2020, the year, I think that's when females are supposed to catch up and also be 1 in 2. And that's a scary statistic, right? Because we're not really sure, well, what are we supposed to do? Cancer doesn't have a cure. That's what we hear, is that there's no cure for cancer, and we're afraid of it. It's a scary disease. But what I have to realize is that if 50% of men are being diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime, it's such a high percentage that I have to say that 100% of us are going to be faced in our body with some sort of cancerous cells. I think for only 50% to be caught at a stage where it's bad enough that we need to go in and we need to have some sort of treatment. I think we're all going to be faced with it in our body at some point. And that is why we have this amazing branch of our immune system called the tumor-fighting cells to go and find these areas and get rid of them. And as long as our body is at optimum, right, as long as we're really trying to take care of ourselves, then this doesn't have to be a scary statistic. In fact, the CDC itself has come out and said that cancer, for the most part, is a lifestyle disease. Even breast cancer is one that we're really nervous about, that we found a genetic marker for. And there was a big study done a couple of years ago out of Harvard, where this Harvard researcher decided to kind of look into breast cancer and look into the genetic aspect of it. And she came out and found out that 2/3, she kind of went back into all these case studies of all these different people that had breast cancer, some that lived, some that died, and came out that said 2/3 of these, what we had thought were genetic breast cancers, still could have been prevented or cured through lifestyle changes. And that's 66%. And that's breast cancer, like I say, is almost heralded as the quintessential genetic cancer. And so, again, I don't like to be afraid of things. I don't like to be fearful in the decisions that I make. But I'll tell you, if I am up to date on my body, if I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing these small, simple things every day, right? Some of these things that we've talked about that we just try to do every single day, try to keep the stress out of our lives and try to make sure our body is dealing with that stress just as well as it can, then we can be sure that some of these diseases that we're scared of, some of these diseases that we don't want, that our body is going to be up to the task of fighting these things off. And it can be as easy as a common cold, and it can be as scary as a cancer. And And if we can arm ourselves with supporting the inside, supporting that wonderful system that was designed by someone that knows a lot about healthcare, a lot more than me. If we can support that system, I'll tell you, that's where we get out of our body what we want. Now, I'm not saying that every single person, obviously, that has cancer did something themselves to bring it on them, right? That's not at all the conversation that I'm trying to get out. But there are things that we can do. And if we support our own system and be proactive with it, then I'm telling you, you will see a big difference in that group of people as far as how healthy they are, how long they live, and how well they live, than people that just kind of leave it up to chance and say, well, everything's going to make me sick. I'm going to die someday, so I might as well enjoy it. Right? There's the old joke of someone that walks into a house and sees someone sitting on a rocking chair, and they're old looking, but they look like they're pretty old, and they're rocking, and this person goes up and says, hey, I really appreciate your example of an older person. Tell me what you do right, and tell me what your secret is. And they say, I just take care of myself. I guess it's not really a joke, but every single day we do things for our health. Every single day we try to do something that says, hey, this is health promoting, this is helping me on the road. And some of the things I do, I was thinking this morning even, how many of us just deep breathe? How many of us take a few minutes to just breathe in deep, in and out, and just kind of think of things that we're grateful for and that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, you get in that kind of a mindset and a lot of these conditions. So anyway, I guess my challenge to you today would be, when something comes up, let's say someone out there suffers from headaches, let's say someone out there has a hurt knee when they're running or whatever. When something comes up, instead of our first idea being, hey, what can I go take, right? What's in my medicine cabinet that I can put in, right? Because we know we're just ignoring symptoms, right? A headache doesn't come because our body has a lack of ibuprofen or a deficiency in ibuprofen, right? Oh, good, now I'm putting more ibuprofen back into my system, so now my headache can go away because now I'm balanced. I have the right amount of ibuprofen in my body. I mean, obviously, that's not why we get headaches. Ibuprofen is designed to basically ignore whatever signals are going on that are making that painful. Muscle relaxers, the same thing, right? All of these things are just designed to kind of trick your body, but there's no healing in it, right? It's just taking away some symptoms for a little while. Now, don't get me wrong, when you have a big fat headache, there's nothing better than some symptom relief, right? I mean, give me a break. If you're hurting like that, that's something that you say, I don't care if it's getting to the root of the problem or whatever, I just want to feel better. But what I want to say is if you're someone that suffers from those types of things, the next time something like that happens, instead of our initial response, for us, for our children, for anybody, what can I take? What's in the medicine cabinet that I can put in my body? I would rather our conversation be, what can I do to support my body to make it to heal itself effectively? Like, what can I do to support myself on the inside? And that's where the rest comes in. That's where the essential oils can help. That's where even going to, your chiropractor, your acupuncturist, some of these guys on the alternative side of things, to go in and just get the system to be supported. And then once that happens, then the body's ability to heal is so amazing. It's so incredible. There are miracles that happen just because we are able to say, hey, body, I know that you can heal. How can I help you? Instead of, hey, I'm going to take these chemicals and I'm going to try to trick my body, and then there's this disconnect, and the body says, hey, I'm trying to tell you something, but you're just ignoring it. Instead, hey, will you help me out so we can take care of this problem and take care of it 100%? Anyway, so luckily I have tons of things that I can talk about, and I'll have to go over next door when I get back to work and tell Elmer that he missed out on a great conversation. But like I said, we'll have him back in for sure in the near future, and we'll have him talk about what he's doing over there. And but anyway, I hope you got something out of this today. If you have any questions as far as other things that I do, especially with the kids, I think the antibiotic discussion is very, very important. Proactively, right? Make sure that the diets are good. There's nothing more taxing to a little system than some of these chemicals and preservatives and stuff like that we're putting in their food. And so I always say, make sure you're really working on that aspect of their body, because I think that's what helps us fight off things the most. So go out there and make some good decisions for sure. Have a great day. Have a healthy day. And if you do it for no other reason, not just because I told you, but do it just for the health of it.